معصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أرواحنا له فداء. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فلولا كانت قرية آمنت نفعها إيمانها إلا قوم يونس لما آمنوا كشفنا عنهم عذاب الخزي في الحياة الدنيا ومتعناهم إلى حين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. First and foremost, I congratulate all of you on the auspicious occasion of this holy month, the month of Ramadan, a month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has opened the gates of His mercy and His blessing for all of us, for all of humanity. Inshallah, over the next few weeks during this blessed month of Ramadan, and perhaps even thereafter, we will discuss the verses of Surah Yunus. And of course, in this blessed month of Ramadan, I don't think we will get through all of Surah Yunus because it is 109 verses. But inshallah, we'll have more to speak about even after the blessed month of Ramadan. I chose this particular chapter to speak about for several reasons. One of the reasons is that when we look at Yunus and the story of Yunus, we can learn a great deal from the story. We can learn a great deal, particularly in our own time, because the chapter, Surah Yunus, if you read it from the beginning to end, we'll see that Yunus, the actual story of Yunus himself and what happened to Yunus, is not really discussed in this particular chapter. It's discussed elsewhere. There's only one place in Surah Yunus that even the name of this prophet comes, and that is in verse 98 of Surah Yunus. And it comes in relationship with the nation of Yunus, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, فَلَوْلَا كَانَتْ قَرْيَةٌ آمَنَتْ نَفَعَهَا إِيمَانُهَا إِلَّا قَوْمَ يُونَسَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He speaks about the nation of Yunus, the people of Yunus. And this is why the surah has the name Yunus, because the focus is on His people. And why is the focus on the nation of Yunus? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states that if there was any people, any tribe, any group of people whose faith served them well, then it was the nation of Yunus. Or Jonah in English. Jonah, Yunus. So when we look at all of the different tribes and the people that the prophets were sent to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He picks out this tribe, this nation, which was at the time, it was a group of people. It was the Assyrian Empire. And the people of Yunus, he was sent to a place called Nineveh. Or in English they say Nineveh. And this was in Iraq, or actually present-day Mosul. And perhaps some of you are familiar with this name, Nineveh, when Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, when he went to Karbala, when he reached to Karbala, he asked, what is the name of this place? And of course, one person said, this is Nineveh. Yes, the ancient Assyrian Empire, it covered that area. And so perhaps some of the individuals, they knew that, yes, they still called it Nainawa, they still called it by that name, so they said it's Nainawa. And then until Imam Hussein alayhi salatu, he asks about, does it have another name? Until someone said that it is named Karbala as well. So Yunus, he was sent to the people of Nainawa, the ancient Assyrian nation. And initially, as the story goes, as we understand that when he went there to deliver the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the people, they rejected Yunus, as we find that many of the other nations and people of that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent prophets to, they rejected them. But moreover, the people of Nainawa, the tribe of Yunus, they asked Prophet Yunus, they said that, well, if what you're stating is correct, then pray to Allah, pray to your God that he sends the punishment down upon me. Because he went there to warn the people of the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also to give them good tidings if they embrace Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they embrace this message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they decided, no, you pray to your God, pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and tell him to punish us. We want to see that. Is this real? And of course, most of you are perhaps familiar with the story. I'm just giving you a cap. That Yunus, he left out of Nainawa in order to pray against the people because they refused to obey. They refused to listen to his message. And according to some of the historical accounts, and again, remember that Nainawa, or at least where the capital of Assyria is set, it was basically around present-day Mosul. So according to some of the historical accounts, he left from there and he went to Gaza. And from there, this is where he went to the Mediterranean, Bahr al-Mutawassit. He went to the Mediterranean. That's where he was on the ship. So he left from there. And again, it's not a short distance. But according to what we know, he left from there. And as he left, according to, again, the accounts, some of the historical accounts, again, some of them from English sources, some from our own sources in Arabic, they said that as soon as he left, again, the individuals, the nation, they began to see the beginning of the punishment. That they said that, at least the ground began to shake, and they feared that, yes, the punishment that we had to ask our prophet Yunus to pray, to bring it about, we're starting to see the effects of it. And that changed the hearts of the people, and they began to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ask for tawbah, and they began to pray. He says, no, we will believe. But by this time, Yunus, he was gone. Now, perhaps, I guess, from what some of the indication is that shortly after Yunus, he left. Some time period, it could have been some hours, whatever, they began to pray. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spared them. But Yunus had left already. He had left from Mosul, this area of Mosul, going to Gaza, which is roughly about 550 miles. And of course, he didn't have a plane to get there in a few hours like we would travel today, nor did he have a car. So his journey, at very least, if we calculate, a speed, he's going with a caravan or he's on the horse, perhaps 2 months it would take him just to get to Gaza, perhaps. It could take more. And then how long was he there until he was able to get aboard a ship, and then his journey out, and then coming back, then again, calculating, again, a very quick trip, again, 2 months to get back. So at least what passed between the time that the nation of Yunus, that they prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they had faith in him, faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returned their prophet back to them, at least a good 6-7 months, 8 months. Allahu A'lam. But nonetheless, they were in a period of waiting. Just as we are in a period of waiting for our own iman. So there is a great deal of wisdom that we can learn from the nation of Yunus. And that how did they act? Why was their iman, why did their iman save them? So this is a story about a nation and about faith, al-iman, but not simply a theoretical discussion about belief, but is a practical discussion about belief. Imanul amali, that because of their actions and because of their faith, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He brings them as an example of a nation whose faith saved them, whose faith was a benefit for them. And particularly it was a benefit for them in that period in which their prophet was not among them. He was not there to tell them, okay, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. But they had that faith, and they believed that since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He has spared them, that they must act in a particular way and wait for their prophet to come back to guide them. So this is, in a nutshell, what Surah Yunus is about and how we can benefit from this particular chapter of the Quran. In fact, this particular chapter of the Quran, according to Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he states that a person should recite this chapter every 2 to 3 months. And the benefit of reciting this chapter at least once every 2 to 3 months is that he says it will safeguard an individual from being among the jahilin, being among those individuals, and not literally unintelligent, not literally those who are ignorant, but being among those individuals who had the characteristics and traits of those nations, or the nation that was in the time of al-Jahl, the time of Jahl before the final message. Those individuals who did not heed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words. Those individuals who did not heed the direction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had sent for them through their prophets. So this is one of the benefits that also we can gain from reading this particular chapter and understanding this chapter. According to many of the Mufassirin as well, they say that the chapter of Yunus, they say that its core, or at the center, again, is verse 98 of Surah Yunus, that the faith of this people, it saved them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He saved them from the punishment in this world. So they say that each of the verses or group of verses, we can return it back to this central idea within the verse about iman, about theology, about the guidance which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He sent forth to mankind. And inshallah, we'll try to proceed in our explanation, our commentary of Surah Yunus in this way. And what we will do is we will group a number of the verses together. This will also help us to get through the Surah Yunus also quicker, instead of going verse by verse, but taking groups of verses and understanding those groups of verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He is presenting to us, and what the theme of those groups of verses. So inshallah, we'll begin with at least the first 2 verses of Surah Yunus, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He states, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alif Lam Ra, Tilka Ayatul Kitab al-Hakim, that He states that Alif Lam Ra, that these 3 letters, which is Huruf al-Muqatta'a, and of course, as many of the commentators, they state that these are difficult to explain exactly what these letters are, but inshallah we'll give one of the hadith of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, where he indicates about the meaning of this, or possible meaning of this. أكان للناس عجبا أن أوحينا إلى رجل منهم أن أنذر الناس وبشر الذين آمنوا أن لهم قدم صدق عند ربهم قال الكافرون إن هذا لساحر مبين. What these first two verses, what they indicate, or at least what they are pointing out, are two things with regards to theology, to belief and iman. The wahi, the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and prophethood, the one who carries this message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is because often many people's encounter with belief and faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that first, you could say, medium between mankind and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Again, this is if a person is not in tune with his own fitrah, because we say that the fitrah is the first encounter that a person will know fitratan, would know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his innate nature. But if a person is not attuned to that innate nature, his first encounter with belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on occasion, is the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That a prophet will come and he will, again, he would awaken that nature, that innate nature, that fitrah of mankind. So this is the first idea and first encounter, or first theme within this particular chapter of the Quran. Some of the Mufassirin, and particularly the tafsir, the subject tafsir of the Quran that was done in Sharjah. It's a very interesting tafsir, because what they do is they take each chapter of the Quran and it's a commentary on each chapter of the Quran, but by the theme of groups of verses. So, inshallah, we'll kind of follow this particular pattern as well. And one of the first things they state is that the connection between this particular verse, or this chapter of the Quran, with the previous chapter. So because there's a wisdom in that, each chapter is linked in a way. So Surah Yunus is the 10th chapter of the Quran. The chapter before is Surah Tawbah. Exactly. And that is also about, again, a people's interaction, particularly the people of the Arabian Peninsula, their interaction with their prophet. The mushrikeen and the treaty that they made, and then they broke their treaty. Again, it speaks about this interaction between a people and their prophet. In the last verses of Surah Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he also speaks about this concept of a prophet being raised among the people. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he begins Surah Yunus, he says that أَكَانَ لِلنَّاسِ عَجَبًا أَنْ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ رَجُلٍ مِّنْهُمْ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's describing a quality about prophets, or the prophethood. That people, they are surprised that we have delivered, we have sent wahi, revelation, to a individual, to a man who's among those individuals. And this is one of the qualities that we see in a prophet, is that he is usually from among the people. He is someone who experiences what the people experience. He is someone who, again, knows the pains of his people. And according to the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he tells his prophet to say that, yes, ana basharun mithlukum. I'm a person like you. Illa an yuha ilayya. Except for I receive revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in other words, the prophet, he is not disconnected from his people. He's not disconnected from what happens in that society. And because he understands intricately what happens in that society and what the people are going through, he is able to guide them. In Surah Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he also points to this idea as well. So in verse 128 of Surah Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he states, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that surely a prophet has come to you from among yourselves. And this prophet, he has certain qualities and certain traits. What are those traits that the prophet has? The prophet has these traits that he is harisun, azizun alayhi ma anittum. That it is difficult, it is weighty for that prophet to see the difficulties that his people are in. In other words, the prophet, he's someone who empathizes with the people, with their difficulties. He has a solidarity with the pains of those individuals. Harisun alaykum. Again, that he is someone who wants to protect his people. He wants to safeguard his people. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, Ra'ufur Rahim. That this prophet, he is Ra'ufun Rahim. And this is a very interesting quality of the prophet. And I'll explain why. That the prophet, he is, of course, Rahim, you understand what that is. He's a mercy. And we know that the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that he was sent rahmatan lil alameen. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before he presents this quality of the prophet, that he is Rahim, he says Ra'uf Rahim. And Ra'uf, what it means, according to some of the experts in the language, especially the language of the Quran, they said that Ra'uf is Shiddatul Rahmah. That Ra'uf is actually more emphatic than Rahim in itself. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he often uses this quality with himself. And how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he interacts with his people, that he is Ra'uf Rahim. But Allah, in the last few verses of Surah At-Tawbah, he gives this quality, or he states that this quality is in his prophet. So in other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or what we can understand from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sends his prophets to mankind as a mercy, as an example of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy to mankind. And what's very interesting, that the connection, when we look at the connection between Surah Al-Tawbah and Surah Yunus, is that here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that his prophet is Ra'uf Rahim. And he begins Surah Yunus, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alif, Lam, Ra. When one of the companions of Imam Sadiq alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, he asked the Imam, he says, what is the meaning of Alif, Lam, Ra here in this verse? Imam, he responded to him, he says, what this means, he says, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving a message to his prophet and also to the believers. And the meaning of that is that Aleph means ana, or inni, that I am. Ana means ana, I am. Lam stands for Allah, and Ra stands for Ra'uf. In other words, Ana Allahu Ra'uf. In other words, that if, again, some commentators, they state that whether this is correct or not, because in the chain of narrators of some of these hadith. They're not as strong, but nonetheless, if this is correct, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or this is the meaning of this verse, if we accept this particular hadith, then there's a very strong connection between Surah Yunus and Surah Tawbah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not only is a strong connection between the two surahs, but also there's a connection that is being shown between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says His Prophet is Ra'ufur Rahim, and through a code, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Anallahu Ra'uf, yani rahmati shadid, that His rahmah and His mercy is strong. His rahmah and His mercy is, you could say, without any precedent. And we can see this to some extent with regards to the nation of Yunus. That though they asked for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He delayed their punishment. He gave them time to believe, to pray to Him. So not only is this, of course, Rahim, but is Ra'uf. It exemplifies this quality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy upon mankind. Sabaqat rahmatuhu ghadaba, that His rahmah, His mercy precedes His anger. And the interesting thing about that as well, if you look at the biblical account of Jonah or Yunus, that even in the biblical account, of course, the story is a little bit different. According to their story, that the prophet Yunus, he fled because he didn't want to. Okay, so. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. But if people can come forward, again, another salat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. According to the biblical account, they say that Yunus, he did not want to actually go to Nineveh because he was like, oh, the people are bad. They're not going to accept. So before he even began his message in Nineveh, they said he fled, and then he went to Gaza, and that's where he got on a ship, and then he was swallowed by the hoot, the fish, or large fish, and then he came back. And when he came back, then the people believed. This is their story. But our story is no, that he was a prophet. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a message to deliver, and he did not fall short of delivering it. The people rejected, and then he left. So there's a slight difference there in that particular aspect. But nonetheless, what we do find also, even in the biblical account, there's this idea and this concept that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that His mercy precedes His anger. And this is actually mentioned even in the biblical account, that when Yunus, he's speaking with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that your compassion and your mercy precedes your anger. And so perhaps as, even if the Rawaya may be weak, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving a code here, Ana Allahu Ra'uf, nonetheless, there's enough, at least credibility or evidence that perhaps there's some truth to that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He begins this particular chapter in this manner. وَتِلْكَ الْآيَاتُ الْكِتَابِ الْحَكِيمِ, that in this Quran, or particularly as some of the Mufassirin state, that in this chapter itself, there are strong signs, muhkam, or signs which have wisdom in it. In order to gain a bit more insight and benefit from this verse, because one of the things we want to focus on as well is the practical theology or practical faith. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, أَكَانَ لِلنَّاسِ عَجَبًا أَنَا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ رَجُلٍ مِّنْهُمْ أَنْ أَنذِرِ النَّاسَ وَبَشِّرِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. One of the things we must question, if this idea of prophecy, as we mentioned, or prophethood, is often the first encounter for most people with their or connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what type of surprise or ajib is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking about here? That people, that they are shocked that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent a person, or He has revealed the message to an individual from among them. This becomes a question. أَكَانَ لِلنَّاسِ عَجَبًا أَنْ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ رَجُلٍ مِّنْهُمْ. When we look at several of the verses of the Quran, it gives us some sort of indication. Some individuals, some people, they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, well, how come Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't just send angels to us? That, okay, for each individual that He'll send an angel, and that angel will guide us. And through that, we will understand that, yes, we are being connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because there's an angel, and we know that this angel is not a being who lives upon this earth, who walks upon this earth, but then, we're connecting to something that's more spiritual, metaphysical. In one of the narrations of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, he states that, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have sent an angel to deliver His message to mankind. And this angel comes before mankind themselves. He says, but however, if He did so, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He would make that angel live among people and be among them and to experience what they experience. And then He would send a messenger to that angel, and that angel will deliver the message that was given by the angel who came to him. And so it was asked from Imam that, why is this? He said, because that angel, that individual who delivers that message, as we also indicated before, that he must experience what people experience. Because if he does not experience what other people experience, then he would not be able to guide them as he should. Salawat. So this ajab, or this surprise, is not about the individual himself, as some of the Mufassirin, they stated, because people already knew that the prophets were coming to mankind. Some people were surprised that well, why from this group of people or not that group of people? Historically, it's stated that after the prophet Isa ibn Maryam, that there was documentation, and some of the documentation still exists, that there will be a prophet who would come from this area, from Arabia, from the Arabian Peninsula. It said that some of the Jews from Babylon, some of the Christians, they all moved to this area thinking that, well, the prophet will be from among us. And so therefore, we have to move to this area. But then when the prophet, he was among the descendants of Ismail, from among the Arabs, they were like, well, why is he from there? So this ajab, this surprise is not with regards to, again, the character of the prophet himself, but it's with regards to some of the, you can say, minor details that, well, he's from among this group of people and not from our people. Or that this messenger, he's not an angel, but he's a person. So this gives us some also insight about one of the again, one of the qualities of the Prophet that no one doubted, and particularly in our Prophet, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this goes for many of the other prophets as well, that even before they began their revelation, even before they began to deliver their message, these were individuals who were known to be truthful in their character. These are individuals who are known to be Amin. These are individuals that, at least from their character, that they were someone who was upright, someone who had outstanding personality. But, and even, again, the Prophet Muhammad, he was Sadiqun Amin, before he even announced his prophethood. But as soon as he announced his prophethood, again, this ta'ajjub, this surprise, that, wow, well, yes, we know he's truthful, we know he's Amin, but why is he now claiming prophethood? Why is he now, again, trying to, correct what we've been doing for years? So this ta'ajjub is not one that is that is towards the character of the Prophet, but rather towards some superficial aspects that individuals they had. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he states in the latter part of verse 2, he says, قَالَ الْكَافِرُونَ إِنَّ هَذَا لَسَاحِرٌ مُبِينٌ, that they had no proof against his prophethood. They had no proof. The only thing that they wanted to do is they wanted to, again, to demean his character, to belittle his character. But there was no proof against it. Otherwise, they would say, yes, this person, whatever he stated until now, was truthful. And this is one of the qualities we see that for prophethood that is necessary, that individual who claims prophethood, that he has to be someone who is sadiq. And not simply during the time that he is claiming prophethood and thereafter, but even prior to the claim of prophethood. That he has to be someone who is sadiq. Because if he was not someone who is truthful prior to his prophethood, then how would they believe him at the time that he claims that he is a prophet? So well before, again, that event of prophethood, he has to be truthful. And this prophet, he must come, and because this is also a necessary quality of prophethood, that he is truthful, so therefore, when he delivers the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he delivers what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to him to deliver, that we can verify that his words, that what he stated is also truthful. That he stated that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to him, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alif Lam Ra, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Dhalika al-kitabu la rayba fihi. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to him, we can verify it because of this individual's truthfulness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he also points out another characteristic, is Bashir al-ladina amanu. So again, the Prophet, he is a warner. Anzir al-nas wa bashir al-ladina amanu anna lahum qadam sidqin inda rabbihim. So he will warn people against the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, and this is an essential part of the message of each of the prophets, that he comes to warn against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment, just as Yunus, he warned his people, and to bring good tidings for those who believe. And particularly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states here that وَبَشِّرِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَنَّ لَهُمْ قَدَمَ صِدْقٍ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ. And this قَدَمَ صِدْقٍ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ, as several commentators, they state that the meaning of this قَدَمَ صِدْق is قَدَمَ means sabaqa, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, السابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون, that those who proceed, those who go forth. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is giving good tidings to those who believe that they are the closest of creation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That they have qadam as-sidqin. Some say that this qadam as-sidqin is the Prophet himself. Again, if you want to embody that, this qadam as-sidqin, this idea, this concept, because qadam as-sidqin is a concept, and it's in different places we find this concept. So if it's embodied in a person, then it will be the Prophet, or it will be the Imams, as some of the riwayat state. But in an idea and how it relates to practical iman, qadama sidqin, meaning that the individuals who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have a very close relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is merciful to His creation, He is Ra'ufur Rahim, He is Rahmanur Rahim, that no one is better equipped to receive that mercy other than those who believe. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while His rahmah, rahmatur rahmaniyya, that His mercy is general for all of His creation, but there's rahmatur rahimiyya, His particular mercy is specific for the believers, that no one has access to that like the believers. And that access to that mercy that the believers have is through their dua, through their supplication. And this is, again, one of the key things of practical faith that we learn from the nation of Yunus. That inshallah, as we will give commentary of this verse, that we'll see that what the key that saved them, again, was their dua. Their dua, their supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That while everyone, whether that individual is a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether that individual doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're encompassed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. Part of that mercy is life, their sustenance, their family, whatever they have been blessed with in this world and this life. But among those who receive this mercy, that the believers have a bigger stake in this mercy. قَدْمَ صِدْقٍ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ. But it takes our awareness of this, our understanding of this, and accessing this through our dua, through our supplication, through connecting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And through that supplication, not simply just increasing our iman, our faith, which many of the du'as that we have, and inshallah, in this blessed month of Ramadan, we will recite, that if we actually pay attention to those du'as, that there are two sides to it. On one side, that, it connects us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if we understand the message in those du'as, those supplications, those ziyarat, that it will increase our iman. The other aspect of it is that through those du'as and through those supplications, that we can receive the blessings and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us success in understanding this story of the Qawm Yunus, and may give us success in making our faith, our iman practical, imanun amali, not just simply imanun nadhari, not simply a theoretical belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but a practical belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that helps us in this life and the akhirah. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. And we pray for all of the mu'mineen and mu'minat who have passed away. We pray for all of the mu'mineen and mu'minat who may be suffering from illness, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants them shafa in this blessed month of Ramadan. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibul mudhtarra idha da'ah wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibul mudhtarra idha da'ah wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibul mudhtarra idha da'ah wa yakshifu as-su'. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء اللهم اكشف المؤمنين والمؤمنات بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين.
Inshallah, we'll give adhan shortly. Please take this time to prepare for Salatul Maghrib. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.